Aren't Asians all alike? I hope you find the answer to be no. My name is Jolene Jang, Asian American Ambassador, and this episode is a window into remnants of traditional Japanese culture that has not yet been washed away and drowned out by white culture. It may not be riveting, but I think this is how we learn about each other and by sharing these small experiences, such as this. I've got a culture bite for you. It is New Year's Eve, and thus I'm wearing sequins from head to toe and eyelashes that are magnetic and 2 feet long. And what's important is to share with you the culture bite about Japanese and Japanese Americans. They celebrate New Year's Day. So tomorrow, that is when all the mochi making happens. So mochi is a rice, kind of a dessert snack. And I remember going to my Aunt Patsy's house, and she has, I think, 9 siblings, or just a lot. And it was tradition that we would go over there every year. I'm not sure, maybe in the afternoon, and maybe 4 or 5 hours. I was able to dig up some footage from 2014 at a mochi making party with my aunt and her nieces and nephews.
Basically, it's rice that's beat up into a mushy, chewy, yum Japanese dessert. And then this device here was actually new to me. I guess we cut it last year. This device is specifically just to churn it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bob. It's just to churn it and then to portion out the mochi, and there's a cutter on it. So he's putting Spam on that so the rice doesn't stick on the edges. And then I'll pour that in and squish it out like a tube of toothpaste. And then there's that cutter. And I can't believe we did that manually last year because would be hard to portion. Now, when they're making this, they actually have, maybe a minute or 45 seconds to make their mochi, because then they'll get another one. So you can't get behind, right? Or else you kind of screw up the whole assembly line. You know what I'm saying?
And so they throw in this cooked rice, and 50 cups, 100 cups, I don't know, it's just huge. It's commercial. And then it spits out mochi. And then you put flour on your hands, and then you roll it kind of like you would roll a cookie in your hand, but they're bigger. Probably the size is like a golf ball, and then you flatten it out on the table, and then it kind of dries. And then for some of them, you would get these red beans, azuki beans. They're not beans like American green beans or chili beans. They're Japanese beans. They're azuki. So they're kind of soft and mushy. A lot of Asians have desserts that have these mushy beans in them, all sorts. So it's those kind. And there's sugar in them. So you may put that little red bean paste that's beat up and grinded with sugar, and that goes in the center of the mochi for the special ones. Mochi making isn't just the production, it's a family thing. And you can hear us talking about our failures in mochi making skills.
A pinch, and a twist, and a rotate. Ooh, and the ball. And then what do you call that motion?
I have no idea.
Ball.
The shaker.
So that's one of the traditions that I remember from my childhood. My folks are coming over tomorrow. We usually have a big Japanese New Year, except for, people are aging. So so that's not really happening so much. There'll be 6 of us. Each of these ingredients, each one of these dishes represents a certain something, long life, kind of like in the Chinese culture, just the different foods on New Year's Day represent different things. And so it's pretty neat. And my mom and my aunts just look forward to it every year to have that special Japanese food, because growing up, they didn't get Japanese food that often. So New Year's Day was a big deal. And as you think about all the cultures that are represented, when people think of Asian American, New Year's is just across the board. There's Lunar New Year, Solar New Year. There's like all these different New Years and when people celebrate. And so when you think about Lunar New Year, which is coming up, I think early February 10th or 11th or something, that's just not just Chinese New Year. That's Tet, Vietnamese, and there's like 10 other countries that celebrate Lunar New Year. So when you want to do something at work, be aware, Lunar New Year, to say Lunar New Year, not just Chinese New Year, because there's more groups and they celebrate differently, similarities, but differently. So be accurate, and that's more respectful. A couple of traditions that come to mind without any studying is to clean your house. So to clean your house before New Year's Day. So then, because on New Year's Day, you don't want to be sweeping and sweep away good fortune. By the way, you may notice that I don't have a lot of details and I don't know exactly why we do the things that we do as a Japanese and American because I'm fourth generation and there was World War II, and you're not trying to be Japanese during World War II. And so there's many reasons why I don't know a lot. And I do kind of study now as an Asian American ambassador and advocate, but otherwise I'm very American. And so I hope this is able to illustrate to you the idea of American and Asian. On my website, jolenejang.com, you can find the podcast page and you can see the notes. And I have pictures of New Year's from my family of the past years. We would have the extended family and the Japanese side who have accents and all of that and know how to make Japanese food authentically. So you can see in my past some of the good stuff. This is your first culture bite, and there'll be many more. And hopefully, you will get curious about learning about other cultures. To go ahead and subscribe to my podcast, and you can see the visual version on YouTube as well as Spotify. And on jolenejang.com, there is a transcription and pictures, for example, of the New Year's food. So until the next podcast, aren't Asians all alike? No, no.